Total war with Europe, US. Iran drops bombshell on West. Iranian leader shock declaration as Tehran faces crippling sanctions. Iranian nuclear program to drag Middle East into another war again. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has warned that Tehran is confronting what he described as an all-encompassing campaign by the United States, Israel, and Europe, saying the pressure now being applied to Iran is more complex and damaging than the 8-year war with Iraq in the 1980s. Speaking in an interview published on Saturday on the official website of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Pezeshkian said the country is facing a confrontation that extends far beyond conventional military conflict. In my opinion, we are in a full-scale war with America, Israel, and Europe, Pezeshkian said, arguing that Western powers are determined to prevent Iran from becoming economically and politically self-reliant. He said the nature of the current confrontation makes it more difficult than past wars, as Iran is being pressured simultaneously on economic, political, cultural, and security fronts, rather than through direct battlefield engagement. The Iranian president compared the situation to the Iran-Iraq War from 1980 to 1988, noting that while that conflict was brutal, its dynamics were clearer. Quote, "At that time, missiles were fired, and it was clear where we would strike back," he said. His remarks come ahead of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's planned visit to the United States, where he is expected to brief U.S. President Donald Trump on possible future military options against Iran. NBC News has reported that Israeli officials believe Tehran is rebuilding ballistic missile production sites and repairing air defense systems damaged during the June conflict between Israel and Iran. Israeli intelligence assessments have raised concerns that Iran's recent missile drills may mask preparations for a potential attack, according to Axios.
For the steadfast defense of Iran's national integrity and its very existence, it has been developed and advanced not with the aim of being a subject for negotiation. Therefore, under absolutely no circumstances whatsoever, Iran's defensive capabilities, the measures that have been put in place to deter any aggressors from even contemplating an attack on Iran are not a matter that can be openly discussed. A coordination meeting. The condemnation of the Sydney incident was not to please the Australian government, nor was it due to any other consideration. We, because of the fundamental principles that we deeply believe in and uphold, firmly maintain that resorting to terrorist actions against innocent civilians, against any non-military targets whatsoever, is an absolutely unacceptable act. Unlawful. And it is considered to be illegal, therefore, irrespective of the location where a terrorist act may occur. We have always opposed such actions. We are entirely focused on our own work. Our armed forces know very well and are perfectly capable of defending ourselves whenever the need arises. Therefore, I believe that regardless of these malicious and wicked schemes targeting the Iranian nation, our armed forces and all pillars of the government will remain steadfastly focused on their own work and continue to fulfill their responsibilities. We will be discussing this particular matter in the next few days. At one point, we engaged in discussions with the agency to resolve this issue. An understanding was reached and signed by both sides, but once again, it was the Western parties who obstructed the advancement of this process by misusing the JCPOA's dispute resolution mechanism in New York. Therefore, the repetition of this issue further strengthens the suspicion that the agency's Director General is pursuing political objectives. It stems from a perspective where it's not really an issue.
Israeli Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir reportedly raised these concerns directly with U.S. Central Command Chief General Brad Cooper, warning that Iranian missile movements could be used as cover for a surprise operation targeting Israel. These developments have added to already heightened tensions following the brief but intense 12-day conflict in June.
We know that Iran has been doing exercises lately. We are following this and we are making the necessary preparations. I want to make it clear to Iran here, any action against Israel will be met with a very harsh response. We are not seeking confrontation with anyone. I can speak on behalf of Israel, and I think for my two partners here, no one seeks confrontation. On the contrary, we seek stability, prosperity, and peace, exactly as the three of us said. Obviously, we are committed to defending each one of our countries, but also defending maritime lanes and other things that are shared in common and that go under international norms. I think that is obvious. So I would say this is a coalition for these norms and for that stability, and we hope that it won't be tested. That's all I can tell you.
Pezeshkian said Iran has emerged from that confrontation in a stronger position militarily, despite heavy losses and sustained pressure. Quote, "Our armed forces are doing their duty with strength," he added, and that Iran's military capabilities and manpower are now greater than they were at the time of the June fighting. He warned that any new attack would prompt a harsher response. Quote, "If the enemy chooses confrontation, they will naturally face a more decisive reaction," end quote. In June, Israel carried out airstrikes and covert operations against Iranian military and nuclear facilities, killing more than 1,000 people, including senior commanders and nuclear scientists, according to Iranian authorities. Iran responded by launching hundreds of missiles and drones toward Israel, killing at least 33 people, including an off-duty Israeli soldier. The United States assisted Israel in intercepting Iranian attacks and later joined the campaign by bombing 3 Iranian nuclear facilities on June 22nd. The renewed escalation has effectively frozen negotiations that began in April over Iran's nuclear program. Since returning to office in January, President Trump has reinstated his maximum pressure strategy, reimposing and expanding sanctions aimed at restricting Iran's oil exports and weakening its economy. European powers have also reintroduced UN sanctions in recent months, citing concerns over Iran's nuclear activities. As diplomatic channels narrow and military rhetoric intensifies, Pezeshkian's remarks underscore Tehran's view that it is engaged in a prolonged and multifaceted confrontation, one that Iran believes extends well beyond the battlefield and shows no immediate signs of easing.